Like pretty much every other person on this planet, I want to change something. The thing I want to change, well, that changes, but I'm in a perpetual state of wanting to improve, of wanting to be different, of wanting to progress, or just find something new. This thing can be within myself, like an aspect of my personality, or something outside of myself. And I think that's why people are enjoying Land of the Lustrous so much. Because Land of the Lustrous is all about change, about its complexities, about its potential positives, and about its dangers too. Of course, since Land of the Lustrous is about change, then it's only natural that its protagonist Phos changes a lot. I mean, other characters change too, and in pretty clever ways, like the fact that Daya improves in combat when she's put in a very extreme situation or, under pressure. But Phos's change is the obvious focus of the series, and it's through her that the story says what it wants to about change itself. To begin, it's important to consider the first two major instances of Phos changing. The first one being when she gains the ability to speak to other creatures that the other girls can't speak to, and the second one being when she loses her legs and they're replaced with a new material. Through this, we see two very important things. The first one being that Phos has gained usefulness even before she gets her new legs. Of course, she isn't useful in the way she wants to be useful, which is in a physical way so that she can fight, but she's still useful. After all, she's attained an ability which would greatly aid her in the creation of the encyclopedia that Master Congo tasked her with creating. But it's here that we see the first instance of Phos's lack of regard for her own safety as she sets out into the ocean despite Master Congo telling her not to. Thus, she loses her legs and they're replaced. On the surface, this seems good, but something bad has happened. Phos has forgotten the major information that could have helped her with the creation of her encyclopedia, and has overall seemingly forgotten, or at least lost her drive to make this encyclopedia in the first place. So now she's back to just wanting to fight, which in and of itself, at least in this point in the series, isn't bad. After all, she's changed enough now that she can fight competently. At this point, she can look within herself and realize some of her potential through training. Her body doesn't need to be modified further for her to do this, although it could admittedly be useful. But Phos has gained new legs that allow her to move faster, a metaphorical way of showing how she is not going to slow down, that she is going to toss herself into danger, that she either stands still or charges forward. There's no in-between for her. It is here that the story becomes very critical of Phos's actions. This is most clearly shown through her interactions with the ice flows. As Master Congo says, when they speak, they reflect the anxieties of others, so they take Phos's want to change, namely her want to change quickly, and cause her to lose her arms. While her arms are replaced with a more useful material, she loses memories and her teacher because of the ramifications of this incident. It is especially important to consider the specific words of the ice flows. Your legs got better in the end. Somebody will figure out a way. Here we see that Phos is still not relying on herself to change, but is instead banking on other individuals intervening and finding a solution to her problems. In this way, the core of her personality has not changed at this point in the series, and that's a big problem. Importantly, at this moment, Phos has chosen to give up on herself, to allow herself to be harmed. So, although she does not bring the knife down on her own arm, she lets this happen, and by not taking care of herself or by dancing too close to the edge of this thought, and this possibility, she engages in a passive form of self-harm. Now, I say self-harm, but it's important to note that Phos isn't just harming herself here, as Antarctite steps in to help her and, in doing so, is taken away. The message here is quite clear but still powerful. Changing is dangerous, and changing too quickly can lead to losing things you love and cherish. But the story still shows more dangers of change from here on. After all, whenever Phos replaces one of her body parts, she loses some of her memories. As far as we know, there is no way for her to know which memory she is going to lose. Thus, it becomes very easy for her to lose some or all of her reasons for changing in the first place, such as her promise to Cinnabar. This type of change can very quickly lead to change for the sake of change, to progress for the sake of progress, to a never-ending cycle of swapping out old facets of yourself for new facets, to having no real identity at all to speak of. So in Land of the Lustrous, change is dangerous, but change is necessary. Change is a complex force driven by all sorts of different actions and possibilities, some of them good, some of them bad, and some of them both. But change can also lead to forgetfulness. It can lead to forgetting who you are, what you stand for, what the point is. And I think we can all agree that we don't want to forget those pieces of ourselves that we hold dear, that we don't want to change so much that it's all gone. In the end, however, the story still has so much more to cover. Although I haven't read ahead in the manga, I'm willing to bet Phos is going to be replacing a lot more of herself, and that she's going to be changing much more. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what that will bring and how those changes will reflect or modify the story's themes. Either way, I'm sure that Land of the Lustrous has much more to show us, and I am so excited for that.